Hello everybody, welcome back. This is your second video class. This is for the book English File Upper Intermediate. Uh, Second video class. It's the class from on Mondays and Wednesdays at 4 o'clock. Okay, hi guys, how you doing? I think it's day 7 here in isolation, day 6. Hope everybody's doing okay, not going too crazy. Okay, but we have work to do, so let's carry on from where we left off before. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is open your pupils books, and we're going to go to page 29 again. Okay, we were doing this page last class. All right, and we were looking at adverbs. Now, if you remember, okay, we looked at 4 different types of adverbs. We had adverbs of time, adverbs of manner, adverbs of degree, and common adverbs. Okay, so we're going to continue with this and look at more adverbs, okay? But it's a bit more vocabulary based. So first of all, I don't know if many of you have written a story, okay? But if you haven't, then it'll be a good little project to do over the weekend. But I'll come to that at the end of the class. Okay, let's have a look here at number 2, at the top of the page. We're on page 29. Okay, so top of the page 29 and vocabulary section, exercise 2. Okay, very good. So looking at more adverbs. So here's another 50-word story. Okay, and it says, who is it about? Who is it about? Let's read. Exam nerves. I'm sure many of you get nervous when you have exams. Exam nerves. It was nearly 4 a.m. and she could hardly keep her eyes open. She had been working hard since lunchtime, but the exam was near. Would she be able to finish in time? At 9 the next morning, she was in the classroom. Okay, she said, you can start now. Okay, it's a fairly simple story. Okay, who is it talking about? What kind of person? Is it a student? Maybe it's a teacher. I think it's a teacher. If the person says you can start now, it's probably the teacher. Okay, good. Now, what I want to look at is these highlighted words in the story. Nearly, hardly, hard, and near. Okay, now these are examples of adverbs that sound very similar, but actually have different meanings. Now, if you look at the story, maybe you can work out the meaning from the context. Okay, what do you think? What's the difference between hard and hardly, and what's the difference between near and nearly? Let's have a look. It says it was nearly 4 a.m. Nearly 4 a.m. Maybe it means it's close to 4 a.m. And here, the exam was near. The exam was happening soon, maybe. Okay. And what about hard and hardly? She could hardly keep her eyes open. Sounds like it was difficult. She had been working hard since lunchtime. I think some of you probably don't know, but working hard means making a lot of effort when you work. You've probably not come across this expression before. Anyway, let's have a closer look, all right, at these adverbs. Take out your notebooks, okay? And we're going to write the title, Confusing Adverbs, at the top of the page, okay? And we're also going to write the date, which today is the 19th. So it is Thursday, 19th March. And year is 2020. Okay, very good. And so what we have here, I've just a little breakdown of these adverbs. Okay, so if you've figured it out, the adverb hard, I'll highlight it. means making a lot of effort. Okay, so my example is he worked very hard to pass his exam. Okay, hopefully you guys are all working very hard on your English. Okay, hardly means almost not at all. Means you're almost not doing something. Okay, so the example is she's walking so slowly, she's hardly moving. I mean, she's almost not moving. She's hardly moving. Now, let's look at the next one. Okay. So we have near, and I'll highlight it here, near. Near means very close. Now, that can be talking about time or a place. Okay. So let's have a look at the example. It's almost April. Summer is near. It means summer is just around the corner, very close. Okay. And then we have the word nearly, which is just a synonym for the word almost. Okay. So, right, an example here, it's nearly time for dinner. Okay. Imagine you have dinner at 8 o'clock. The time is 7:55. It's nearly time for dinner. All right. So these are a couple of adverbs that sound similar but are different. What I would like you to do is I'd like you to write your own phrase using an example of each adverb. Okay, so underneath the example of the adverb hard, I want you to write your own phrase using the adverb hard. Underneath your notes for the adverb hardly, I'd like you to write your own phrase using the adverb hardly. Okay, and then the same for near and the same for nearly. Okay, so you should have one phrase for each of those adverbs. All right. And you can send in you can take a picture or email a copy of your work, of your notes to english.learners.constanti@gmail.com. I will give the email address. I'll write it on the screen at the end of the class. Okay. Very good. So, have you finished? Pause the video. Take your time. Okay. Very good. Now, just a quick side note, okay, for the adverbs hard and hardly. There's a phrase, there's a joke, a phrase which I like to use in the classroom a lot, okay? Maybe now that you understand these words, you'll find the phrase funny. So what I like to say to my students is, are you working hard or hardly working? You get it? Okay, I'm asking if you're making an effort or if you're doing nothing, basically. Are you working hard or hardly working? Okay. Good little joke phrase to remember. Okay, excellent. So now that we've finished with our notes, okay, we're going to go back to the page in our notebooks, page 29, I think it was. Okay, and actually we're going to go to the vocabulary bank, which it says here, with adverbs and adverbial phrases. So let's go to page 155. Okay, and here we are. Now, here we have some more adverbs that sound similar, but are actually quite different. Okay, so what we're going to do in this first exercise, okay, so you can see the adverbs here at the moment, actually. Some of these are also false friends, okay, in Spanish. If you don't know what a false friend is, this is a word that sounds similar to a word in your language, but it actually has a different meaning, so it can be confusing sometimes. A good example of a false friend would be the word actually, okay? Because I know in Spanish you guys say actualmente, okay? But that's not what actually means, okay? So we have to be careful of things like this. Anyway, right? So we have all of these adverbs, okay? All of these expressions. And underneath we have 8 sets of sentences, okay? Now, in each question for each number, one sentence will use one adverb and the other sentence will use the other adverb that sounds similar. Okay, but they will have different meanings, obviously. Okay, we'll look at the example. Okay, so we have hard and hardly that we just had a look at. Okay, so he trains very hard, at least 3 hours a day, so he's making an effort. And the second sentence, it's incredibly foggy. I can hardly see anything. So you almost can't see. All right. So what we'll do is let's have a go at the rest of them. Okay. We can do it all together. Okay. So first, what we'll do is we'll look at each pair of adverbs and we'll see what two phrases they're used in, and then together we'll decide which phrase uses which adverb. Okay, so let's begin. All right, we're going to start with, so we've got this one first example. Let's start here at the top with at the moment and actually. Okay, so those are for sentences, all right, in number 5. Okay, so we have at the moment and actually. Now, at the moment means right now. Okay, happening at this moment. Okay, actually, we use it to say something that we find surprising. Okay, maybe adding some extra information. Okay, it's another way of saying actually is in fact. Okay, so let's have a look at the two sentences and see if we can decide which one goes where. Okay, so sentence number 5. She looks younger than me, but she's 2 years older. And then the second one, they're renting a flat, but they're hoping to buy one soon. Okay, now, do you know which one goes where? She looks younger than me, but actually she's 2 years older, or at the moment she's 2 years older. Okay, yeah, actually, that's correct. She looks younger than me, but actually, in fact, right? Surprisingly, she's 2 years older. Okay, so that's the word actually. Now it doesn't, so it has a different meaning for the word actualmente in Spanish. Okay, actually. How do you say actually in Spanish? What is the word? Okay, maybe think about that. And so the other one must be at the moment. At the moment, so right now, they're renting a flat, but they're hoping to buy one soon. Okay, very good. Let's continue. Okay, let's go for especially and specially. Very, very similar sounding adverbs, and even a lot of native English speakers get these confused. Okay, because when you're speaking, there's a very small difference from saying especially and specially, as you could just hear in my voice. Okay, so it all depends on context. Okay, let's have a look. So it's sentences number 4. All right. So first of all, the difference. Especially means specifically, okay, when you're talking about one thing specifically. And specially means it's something that's made for a specific reason, something that's done for a special reason. Okay. Let's have a look, right? We can get a better idea by looking at the examples. Okay, so I love most kinds of music, but jazz. And my wedding dress was made for me by a dressmaker. Okay, which one goes where? Okay, I love most kinds of music, but especially jazz. So specifically jazz. Okay, so especially. And then my dress was specially made for me by a dressmaker. Okay, which means it's not a normal. It wasn't made normally. It's not a normal dress. It's not something for everyone. It's special. Okay, specially. Okay. Let's have a look at the next one. Ever and even. Now, you've probably heard these words before. Okay, so sentences 8. Now, as you probably know, ever is a way of saying like in my lifetime. Okay, or in your life. So a typical phrase you would hear this is, have you ever seen a ghost, for example. So in your life, have you seen a ghost? Have you ever seen a ghost? Okay. And then even is when you're talking about something and you want to add an extra surprising detail. Okay. Let's have a look at the examples. Okay, so that's sentence pair number 8. Okay, so here we go. It should be quite easy. Have you been to the USA? Okay, I think we know. Have you ever been to the USA? And then the second sentence, I've been all over the USA. I've even been to Alaska. So here they're using even to add a surprising detail into what they're saying. Okay, even. Good. Let's continue. In the end and at the end. Okay. Very, very similar. Okay, when we say in the end, okay, it's like saying in conclusion, in summary. Okay, how did the situation finish? In the end. Okay, so I can say, we all had a good time, and in the end, we became friends. For example, right? So what happens in the end, like at the end of a story, okay? And at the end is, you always have to be at the end of something, at the end of the road, okay? At the end of the day, okay? So we're always talking about something specific when we say at the end of something. In the end is just in general, in summary, in conclusion, overall, okay? In the end and at the end. So sentence pair number 3. Of a film, I always stay and watch the credits roll. I didn't want to go, but they persuaded me. Okay, so do you know which one's which? Okay, yes, you guessed it. At the end of a film, right? Because we were talking about a film. At the end of the film. Okay, and then here, I didn't want to go, but in the end, they persuaded me, right? So the final result of the situation. Okay, in the end. So it's a bit more of a general term to say in the end. Okay, and at the end is more specific. At the end of something. All right, good. Late and lately. Okay, I'm sure a lot of you know what the word late means, as you often arrive late. Okay, so late means when you do something after the time that you're supposed to do it. Okay, lately means recently. Okay, maybe in the last few days. Okay, recently. So let's have a look. Sentence pair number 2. I hate it when people arrive for meetings. Do you know which one? That's right, late. I hate it when people arrive late for meetings. I hate it when people arrive late for class. Okay. And I haven't heard from Mike lately. He must be very busy. So that means they haven't heard from Mike recently, in the last few days. Okay, lately. Let's continue. Near and nearly. Okay, so we've already looked at these. All right, so you should be able to do this without too much problem. I've finished my book on the last chapter. I'm on the last chapter. Okay. That's right, it's nearly. I've nearly finished my book. And excuse me, is there a bank near here? Okay. Excellent. Okay, and we have one more, which is still and yet. Okay. 2 words often used with present perfect. Okay. I'm sure you've heard them before. Still is to imply that that an action is continuing. Okay, and yet is to imply that something hasn't started, but it will start soon. Okay. I'm sure you've heard them before. So, have you found a job? Or he's 35, but he lives with his parents. So let's do the first one. Have you found a job yet? Okay, used with the present perfect. Have you found a job yet? So it's implying that he hasn't found a job, but soon he will. Okay, have you found a job yet? And here he's 35, but he still lives with his parents. Okay, so it's emphasizing that the action is continuing. Okay, maybe longer than it should. Okay, yet and still. So, very good. Make sure you have all the answers correct in your book. Okay, excellent. So, Um, let's move on. Okay, so we looked at some of these last class. So these were comment adverbs. Okay, now if you don't remember, comment adverbs were adverbs that we use maybe at the beginning of a sentence, okay, or at the beginning of a clause, and it's to give the speaker's opinion of the situation. Okay, so let's have a look at the ones we have. Okay, so we have a few sentences and we have some comment adverbs which are highlighted. Okay, over here we have the definition of the comment of the adverb. Okay, so what we have to do is look at the phrase. Okay, look at the sentence, and then think about the context and think, what does the adverb mean? Okay, so I actually like you to do this on your own, and I'll give you the answers afterwards. Okay, so we'll do the first. I think how many are there? We'll do the first two together. Why not? Okay, so let's look at the first one. All right, so we have in fact. Now, earlier in the class, I told you another synonym for in fact. Okay, do you remember what it is? Okay. Anyway, if you don't, it's actually. Okay. Okay, so let's read. I thought the job was going to be difficult, but in fact, it's quite easy. In fact, it's quite easy. Okay. So, what does in fact mean? What does in fact mean? Let's have a look here. Now, if you look at the sentence, it says they thought the job was going to be difficult, but in reality, in fact, it's quite easy. So it's kind of like saying in reality. What can it be? Maybe this one. The truth is. The truth is, it's quite easy. Okay? To emphasize something, especially the opposite of what was previously said. In fact. Good. Okay? Actually, we'll just do that first one together. And what I'd like you to do now is, on your own, read the rest of the sentences, okay? And try and put the adverbs with their correct definition. Okay, so pause the video. Okay, read your sentences and put the adverbs in the correct space. All right, and we'll correct in a minute. Okay, all finished? Fantastic. Fantastic. Let's have a look at our answers. Okay, so here we are. We have the answers here. In fact, basically, obviously, gradually, apparently, anyway, little. Anyway, eventually. Okay, so let's just have a look. Right, we'll read each sentence. It took us 5 hours to get there, but eventually we were able to relax. In the end, after a series of events or difficulties. In the end, eventually. Okay, some good synonyms. Ideally, we would go to Australia if we could afford it. Ideally, in a perfect world, right, where there are no problems. Ideally, we would be in class right now. Okay. Basically, it's quite a simple idea. Basically means in the most important ways. Okay. I thought they'd broken up, but apparently they're back together again. Apparently is when you don't know something for sure, but it's what you've heard. Okay, according to what you've heard or read, apparently. Okay. So you can see it was a really awful weekend. Anyway, let's forget about it and talk about something else. Anyway means in any case, right? So we normally use this to change the subject or to finish a conversation. Okay. So we could be talking about sports and say, oh yeah, Ronaldo is better than Messi. Anyway, let's get back to work. Okay. So normally to change the subject of a conversation. Okay. And she's only 14, so obviously she can't stay at home on her own. Obviously. Clearly. Okay. So it's when you're saying something that everybody should know. Okay. Obvious. It's obvious. Okay. And last one, she's been ill for weeks, but gradually she's beginning to feel better. Gradually. little by little, slowly, gradually. Okay, so make sure you've got all those written down correctly. Okay, and when you do, okay, we are going to go back to page 29. Okay, we're going to go back to page 29. Actually, what we'll do now is we'll go to the workbook. Okay, so we can go to our workbook, and we'll go to page 21 in the workbook, and we've only got one exercise to do today, just one exercise, okay, which is this vocabulary. All right, so we have the adverbs that we've just looked at, okay, and you have to choose the correct one to complete the sentence, okay. So let's look at the example. It says, my father worked very hard, or my father worked very hardly all of his life. Okay, so we want to show that he's making a lot of effort. So my father worked very hard. Okay, please pause the video and do the rest of the exercises. Okay, so exercise 3 in your workbook. Okay, and then we will correct afterwards. Okay, all finished? Excellent, excellent. Let's correct. Okay, we'll read through them. So number 2, I haven't seen Harry lately. Have you? I can't stand most TV programs, especially reality shows. I agree. Number 4, Dave nearly broke his leg skiing in the Alps. Number 5, please don't tell me what happens because I haven't read the book yet. Number 6, I'm not going to Sam's party. I hardly know him. He's your friend, not mine. Number 7, do you ever wear jeans to work? Number 8, do your parents live near here? No, they live about 30 miles away. Number 9, Ellie ate all her lunch, even the vegetables. Yeah, vegetables. Number 10, Alan's feet are so big that his shoes are specially made for him. Okay. Number 11, my cousin is a doctor, and at the moment she's working in Africa. And the last one, I can't wait to find out what happens at the end of this book. Very good. How many did you get correct? Hopefully all of them. All right. Now remember, when you're doing exercises, okay, use your notes. All right, use the notes that we've done before. Okay, if you're not sure, okay, because now is the time. Okay, if you're not sure about something, you can look at it and figure it out. Okay, and the more you do this, the more you remember. Okay, very good. So now that we've finished this, what we will do now is we'll just do a little bit of pronunciation, okay, and then I'll give you a couple of things to do in the notebook, and then we can finish. All right, so let's go back to the pupils book, okay, back to page 29, and we're going to go to this pronunciation part here. Okay. So first of all, what we're going to do is we have all of these adverbs here. All right. And we're just going to listen to them, and you're going to underline the syllable that is stressed. Okay. Now, let me clear up the screen a little bit. Okay. Now, as you can see, with each adverb, right, they have lines to break up the different syllables. Okay. So as we have here, actually, almost. Okay. So these break up the syllables. What we have to do is underline the syllable which is stressed. Okay. So for example, the first one, right, the way you pronounce it is actually. Okay. So the thing that should be the syllable that should be underlined is the actually. Okay. Listen to the rest of the adverbs, okay, and underline the correct syllable.
2.17. Actually.
Almost.
Apparently.
Basically.
Definitely.
Even.
eventually,
fortunately,
gradually,
ideally,
incredibly,
luckily,
obviously,
unfortunately.
Okay, good. So, hopefully you've underlined the stress syllables. So I'll just put the correct answers up here. All right. And there you go. Okay, so you should have these syllables underlined. Now, what we're going to do now is you're going to listen to me say the word and you're going to repeat it. Say it to yourself. Okay? Ready? Actually. Almost. Apparently. Basically. Definitely. Even. Eventually. Fortunately. Gradually. Ideally. Incredibly. Luckily. Obviously. Unfortunately. Okay, make sure you pronounce them correct. Now remember, for you Spanish people, okay, main problems with pronunciation for Spanish people is when you make the R sound. You like to make your R sound like R, right? So you'd say incredibly, right? Always try when we're pronouncing an R to use your lips, okay? And roll it nice and smooth. Incredibly, okay? Gradually, all right? Apparently. All right, so try and pronounce correctly. Always make effort to improve your pronunciation. Okay, good. All right, and now what we're going to do is just listen to these sentences, and you're going to do the same thing. Listen to the sentence and repeat, and I want you to copy the stress and the intonation as well as the adverbs. Okay, so just repeat the sentence exactly how you hear it. All right, are we ready?
2.18. 1. There was a lot of traffic, and unfortunately we arrived extremely late.
2. We definitely want to go abroad this summer, ideally somewhere hot.
3.
It's incredibly easy. Even a child could do it.
4.
Oh, I'll give you time.
4.
Mark gradually began to realize that Lily didn't love him anymore.
5. I thought Roberto was Portuguese, but actually he's Brazilian.
6. Apparently Jack has been offered a promotion at work, but it will mean moving to New York.
7.
I absolutely love Italian food, especially pasta.
Okay, so you can copy those phrases, okay, repeat them, okay, and try and pronounce them correctly. All right, like the person did that the person did in the audio. Okay, excellent, everybody. Right, so our last thing for today, okay, something you can do over the weekend. Just like you back in your notebooks, okay. And what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to write 5 phrases using common adverbs, okay? So I'd like you to use the following common adverbs and write a phrase. So number 1, I want you to use the adverb luckily. Okay. I want you to make your own sentence, okay, using the adverb luckily. Okay. Unfortunately. Okay. And make a phrase using the adverb unfortunately. Obviously. Okay, make a sentence using the adverb obviously. Let's have a look, what else? Actually. Okay. make a sentence using the adverb actually. It's good because actually is one of the adverbs that we use the most in English. People say it all the time. Okay, so it's a good word to know how to use correctly. And last one we'll do. How about ideally? Ideally. Okay, so make a sentence using the adverb ideally. All right. So you should have 5 sentences to do. All right. It's not too much work, I don't think. All right. Now, if you don't remember exactly how to use the adverbs, look back in your book. Okay. Look at the definition of the adverb. Look at how it's used in the sentence. Okay. And use that to help you make your own phrases with them. Okay. Now, unfortunately, it's the end of the class. But I hope everybody has a good weekend. Okay. And stay at home, be safe, and I will see you next week for more English classes. Take it easy, guys. Bye-bye.